This is TWiT.
If you are looking for a midweek update on the week's tech news, I got to tell you, you got to check out Tech News Weekly. See, it's all kind of built in there with the title. You get to learn about the news in tech that matters. Every Thursday, Jason Howell and I talk to the people making and breaking the tech news, get their insights and their interesting stories. It's a great show to check out. twit.tv/TNW.
The lovely Brendan Carr, one of the 5 commissioners at the Federal Communications Commission, told Axios in an interview that we should ban TikTok in the United States. Fortunately, Carr is just one of 5. But does that seem FCC? I love Mike Mazzik's response, which is Carr, who has resolutely refused to do what the FCC is supposed to do, which is protect privacy and safety with the telecom companies, instead wants to ban TikTok, which he has absolutely no oversight of. The FCC has no authority to regulate TikTok.
Yep. Nor should they.
Nor should they. You know who does, though, is CFIUS, the Council on Foreign Investment in the U.S., and he's saying they should ban it. We don't agree with that, right? We were talking about TikTok and propaganda.
I think it's all Red Scare BS,
Red
frankly.
Scare.
Like, I don't downplay, like, I think there is maybe an ideological danger there, but I think it is massively overplayed. And I think, honestly, at its core, this is a reaction. Like, so many of our large social networks in the U.S. are U.S. founded. Obviously, that's very different in China, where there's a lot of like state-owned social networks that are massive that we don't have access to over here. I think this is a knee-jerk reaction of fear to being like, oh, wait, this is tangentially, this is related to their social networks. We can't have that here. And I don't know. It's very silly, I think.
Yeah, I have to say I agree. I feel like
Brianna disagrees with me.
I should recuse myself.
It's not that I disagree. It's that, how can I put this? It's not that I think TikTok is a unique threat. I do think there's national security stuff we have not thought about with social media. I was talking about it earlier in the show. I think it carries over to TikTok. I also have to say, I'm married to someone who has Chinese parents. I have Chinese relatives. I was just hanging out with them this week. And, just in China, there's a completely different approach to how they see privacy and, the way that, they take pride in their companies in a way that I don't hear us talking about, Facebook and Reddit. It's just not in the same way. And it is synonymous with the government to a certain extent. So I don't want to dismiss those fears. I just want like a standard that Facebook and Reddit and all these other sites are held to as well. I do think we need to start thinking about NatSec. I do think we need to start thinking about your control of your own data over there. And I just think there's a wider conversation to be had here.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Especially as we go into, an election year coming up in a couple of years, I think misinformation is going to be, again, a huge problem. I don't necessarily see that as like a China-specific danger. Yeah, I don't know.
I think this is one where you can also say the dangers in the house is inside the house.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I will say, look, I think that one of the bothersome things to me about TikTok is that there has been some evidence that it looks like it's essentially kind of a keylogger. A lot of the things that the app does to track you, which I think is really gross. Do I think that the government should be getting involved in banning it for, whatever reasons? That I don't really agree with. But if there are things, for instance, happening on a platform level where they're doing things that they're not disclosing, then honestly, that is a great opportunity for Apple or Google, to kind of step in and saying, hey, you're not disclosing this, or this information that is getting shared.
To ban them from
the
App Store.
Well, yeah, because here's the thing. Like if you're essentially doing a keylogger and like, doing everything that people are doing on, within that app and capturing every minute option, you're not letting people know that. That I think
that violates the App Store rules.
Exactly. So that to me is really problematic, and I understand that there might be some concerns about the way that these platforms could be leveraged and used, by foreign parties. But I I don't know. I'm not ever going to think that our government has the capability to enforce these things the right way or understand the technology well enough, or that we want to give them that right.
We know that
it's
Facebook,
a slippery slope to state-run media, state-run social networks right there.
And we know that Facebook was used to manipulate and has been used for years to manipulate the electorate very clearly. You're going to ban Facebook?
Yeah. Right.
Well, now you're onto something. Maybe we should just get rid of all social media.
You won't find
Take it back around.
Nobody ever tried to influence an election on Mastodon. I can tell you that right now.
Not yet. Not yet, baby.
I just want to be really clear here for everyone listening or watching. I'm not saying we should ban TikTok. I'm saying there are real national security concerns. We need to take those seriously. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Like, y'all, democracy is really under attack around the world. Name a country, bad stuff is happening. Strong men are winning all around the world. There's this is a real problem, and we've got to start thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, I don't disagree. I just feel like TikTok is probably the worst way to do that, where you can really get the job done on Twitter and Facebook and other places. TikTok, it's just a bunch of cat videos and stuff.
Well, no, it's not.
No, not entirely.
It is a radicalizing
information
people.
medium.
Well, no, but it is also radicalizing people in certain ways.
More than YouTube?
I think it's for some groups, and I think the same way YouTube is, because what happens is the algorithm is so much better than YouTube or Twitter or other things that it will get you into the same sort of self-perpetuating thing. I think that's the fear, but I don't think that's something that we should be legislating just because of the country that
it's not about China; it's about the algorithm,
right?
Yeah, they're definitely. Oh, gone.
No, please, Simone.
I was just gonna say that there are accounts on TikTok that are news accounts, but it's like a person summarizing and.
Oh, you knocked your cable loose there.
Yep, I just hit my microphone in the exact
That's the sausage
way to turn
fingers. It's very hard to keep them. Oh God.
You'd think I'd be safe podcasting.
She can't play the break of the wind. She's gonna just ruin it.
All right, you can hear me now, though.
Yes.
Okay, great. People who have designated themselves reputable experts and are spinning the news in their own way, just like on YouTube. And I do see it, as you said, Christina, as a related problem, because it's a social media wide problem where we are choosing to get our news from these very niche, non-expert sources, and it's not TikTok specific at all.
It's funny. Carr's scared because TikTok's owned by the Chinese government, but I'm more with you, Christina. I'm scared because the algorithm is so spot on.
Yes.
I was talking to my daughter who's 30. She said, I said, you people don't use TikTok for search.
Yeah.
She said, yeah, they do. She said, try it.
Oh, yeah.
I said, well, look, what if I want to know how old the Golden Gate Bridge was? She said, just try it. I searched TikTok and I found a bunch of videos on the building of the Golden Gate Bridge, how old the Golden. So yeah, so I could see why maybe the same way you'd search YouTube for some information, you might search TikTok.
Well, yeah, because YouTube is the number 2 search engine.
Yeah,
and TikTok, I'm sure, is probably climbing.
Absolutely, well, that was the story. Yeah.
Douyin right now too, right? Like in China, you can use Douyin to get discounts at restaurants, and you can find restaurant recommendations and read reviews all through the app. And it is used for search in that way.
That is a China only.
I think a potential
TikTok.
development of TikTok. Yeah. Sorry.
She also pointed out that, and I'm talking now a number of people who have multiple TikTok accounts because the algorithm is so good that if they want to see cooking videos on their one account, that's all they're going to ever see. So if they want to see something else, they'll have another account that's for the car videos. Do you do that, Christina? You're not.
I've heard of people doing this. I haven't, but I've thought about it actually.
It's so good that anything you do on it, my daughter says, oh, if you see a video that doesn't have this content free, don't for 1 second, swipe immediately, because the algorithm will know that you watched this, even if it's for a second, and that will prioritize some kinds of videos by doing that.
Right. And it's interesting to juxtapose that with YouTube, which YouTube is basically based on what you're recently into, right? Like it has some historical things, but YouTube will show you similar things to what you've been searching for in the last, few days, few weeks.
Yeah.
But it will change over time because as you search for different things, it'll show you those new things you're obsessed with. Whereas TikTok, yes, it does seem to keep you in the same.
It's like a flywheel.
Right.
It's instant. It's fast. and it's strong. She says she thinks she notices different response depending on the time of day. Like she has, if you had one account, what you watch in the morning, you're going to see again in the morning. What you watch in the evening, you're going to see again in the evening. And I wouldn't put it past. It's maybe it's too good an algorithm. So that's more. I'm more afraid of that than I am of China.
Can I posit something from like a 30,000 foot view, Leo? If you think about humans through all of history, like we are overdosing on dopamine in a way in modern life, in a way that is completely unprecedented through all of human history. Think about just access to looking at beautiful people online. Like you would have had to be a pharaoh or a queen in Egypt to have anything compared to what a 12-year-old boy can get today online all the time. We have so much dopamine. The Twitter algorithm is wired. The reason Christina and I are so addicted to it is because it is fine-tuned to addicting us. What you're talking about with TikTok, this is so awesome at getting you to stay in this flow and watch these cute videos, and it's not a negative experience in the same way. Dopamine, dopamine, dopamine. At some point, we have to start asking ourselves, okay, so the algorithm, we can tailor this to give us tons of dopamine. We know that. At what point do we start asking questions like, is this good for society? Is this affecting national security? Is this leaving us lonelier? Does this make us vulnerable for misinformation? I do think that there needs to be more transparency with the way these algorithms are used by these companies, because right now they're geared for one thing, addiction. And it's not serving our culture well. And I do think it's time to take that seriously.